What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's had a good weekend to this point, even though it's about over. You get to spend at least an hour or hour and a half with us. Welcome to the first edition of the Going Broadway podcast on a Sunday night. Alex and Cole with you as always. Cole, what's going on?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Going Broadway podcast. It is Sunday Night Heat, if you will. Taking y'all back to the Sunday Night Heat days.
And guys, I will just throw this out there, a blanket good evening to everybody. Bear with me in particular as we go throughout this podcast. I shared with Cole before we went live. We have been dealing with just sickness in my house for the last week or so. And if I have to pull back or step aside just, to cough or whatever, I apologize in advance. If my voice goes in and out, I'm going to do my best, but just throwing that disclaimer out there and appreciate your guys' patience nonetheless. You know what? Let's just jump right in. So we were going to talk about a few things. And by the way, I'll mention this later on in the podcast. I'm going to start posting an outline of all of our podcasts for our patrons on our Patreon page. So if you want to have the heads up on what we're going to talk about, discuss, maybe some insider info if we're going to do a giveaway or not, wink, wink, might be a good idea to become one of our patrons. Any and all support we do appreciate. So just keep that in mind. When I posted that earlier today, I don't recall if I posted the most updated thing, because I remember, Cole, I told you that I updated our private thread that we've got.
Yep.
And so again, all that to say, if you're one of our patrons and I inadvertently did not post the updated version, I do apologize. But that being said, what I wanted to lean in with was I want to jump back to Raw this past Monday. Yeah. So it was the go home show for Crown Jewel, which we'll talk about. Do you find it odd that they closed out the show with the women's tag team title match?
I would have found it odd if Damage Control retained on Raw.
Okay.
Because they had Asuka and Alexa win, I actually liked it for multiple reasons. One, the surprise, the shock. I know that not everybody is like big on the women's tag titles. I know it's not a huge like belt that people are like following like crazy compared to other titles, but it still was a shock because a week before the pay-per-view, Bayley's, it got a women's title match. There's no match announced, obviously, for the women's tag titles at Crown Jewel, but you assume Damage Control was going to, at some point, be involved probably in the women's match then. And so I thought, oh, okay, surely they're not going to have them lose these belts right before Crown Jewel. That would be weird. But they hadn't dropped it. And then Alexa Bliss actually posted on her Twitter the match after they won the belts, that they were going to have a match at Crown Jewel to defend those titles. And she said, this is how you book a match or how you book a storyline. I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with that. 1 week before the pay-per-view, this match is not announced. It's not on Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel, I think, only had like 5 matches at this point in time on the card. And you set up a title match. You do the title switch just to book a match for the pay-per-view and keep people kind of on their toes. And then I love that at Crown Jewel, they give the titles right back to Damage Control. So it wasn't like a quick title reign loss, for Damage Control. It really doesn't make sense for Asuka and Alexa Bliss to hold those titles long term or
not at all,
or for whatever reason. So I just kind of liked it because it made it feel kind of surprising. It kept you on your toes. What's going to happen now? Like Asuka and Alexa are going to retain him at Crown Jewel. Surely they're going to retain him at Crown Jewel. So you kind of got a 2-for-1 surprise again, because then at Crown Jewel, like there's no way they're going to have them drop these belts right after they won them. They did.
See, I disagreed. I actually, in hindsight, at the time, I'm just like, why are they dropping these right before a I'm still calling them pay-per-view, guys. Like, I know they're premium live events, but they'll always be pay-per-views to me. But then when they booked the rematch, I'm like, they purposely did this switch on Raw so they could give a title change, do one for the crowd for for the Saudi event. So I get the title change so you could do another one for the pay-per-view. That part makes sense to me. I didn't see the value in closing Raw with it whenever you've got multiple other storylines that felt like it needed a bigger push to the pay-per-view, in my opinion. And I'll get to kind of tie in my thoughts whenever we actually do the review of Crown Jewel, but I'm going to be a lot more critical than I feel like a lot of other people have been on social media, at least that I've seen. I felt like a lot of the matches going in just didn't feel big.
Okay, I can agree to an extent on that. Part of it is I always kind of give the Saudi show a buffer because I don't think that they're booking the Saudi show with the mindset of we need to have a big story for each of these matches. It needs to, yada yada yada. It feels like a filler pay-per-view to make a ton of money in Saudi Arabia. And so that's kind of my thought. Like, for instance, the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match. That was to sell tickets. The story had already kind of written itself, but there wasn't a whole lot of story building. Like, Brock never really cut a promo to say why he attacked Lashley, other than Lashley cheated and beat him that one time. But there wasn't really ever a Brock Lesnar promo cut. It was more every time we come out to the ring to talk about one another, we're just going to say, let's fight, and then have a brawl and kind of go back and forth. So I do agree with you that the pay-per-view didn't feel big-esque in that regard. So let's look at it from this point of view. Roman Reigns and Logan Paul and all of them were in Saudi week. They were already in Saudi or on their way to Saudi on Monday night, because I'm pretty sure they were there all week doing press conferences and tourist type things for the Saudi people. I could be wrong in that, but even if they weren't, they probably had all the nights off because they were going to be traveling early to go do those things. So you got to rule the Usos out. Then you got to rule Roman Reigns, Logan Paul. All of those guys are out. So there's no story building for the main event or the tag title matches. Not to mention the Brawling Brutes are on SmackDown. Doesn't really make sense for them to come to Raw to close out any kind of a show there. So that scratches that. Bailey and Bianca are on Raw, so there's that kind of build if you wanted to between them. You could, I guess, technically done Omos and Braun Strowman because they're both, or Omos is Raw technically. Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, like I said, they hadn't really done anything with them to begin with. I don't know what you could have done to close that Raw, other than the brawl that they've already done 3 times on a Raw to begin with between the two of them. Am I missing a match?
Drew and Karrion, but that's SmackDown.
SmackDown.
Braun and Omos is SmackDown.
Well, Omos is technically Raw, so you could have done.
Yeah.
But again, so my point is, I don't really know what you could have, unless it was going to be Roman Reigns cutting a promo, face off, introducing Jake Paul a week early, because obviously they started to promote that heavy once he was in Saudi with Logan. I don't know who, like, I guess my question to you is, what would you have expected to close out Raw that would have made sense for Raw?
So if you're not going to have a go home show push of sorts, and you couldn't, and this is another criticism, you couldn't find a way to get Seth Rollins on this event. Now, he might have had stuff going on. He just couldn't do the event, whatever. I don't know what the situation was with that. Close out with a U.S. title match. I mean, it could just be a one-off title match.
We saw that on SmackDown. We saw that on SmackDown with Walter and Ray.
Yeah, just, doesn't have to be a storyline or a prolonged, what's the word I'm looking for here? Program or whatever. And that's just kind of how it felt with this women's tag title match, because at the time, this had no crown jewel implications. It was
True.
just the match. But even and yeah, and going back to what you were saying earlier, Roman was on Raw. So
Okay, now I'm recollecting Raw as we're speaking.
yeah, we've slept a few times since then.
Now he came out to the ring, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure because I'm trying to recollect everything, and
But to answer your question, I don't really have a good answer, but other than to say, if it's not going to feel like you have this push towards crown jewel, then, and this is no disrespect intended towards the women's tag team titles, but that just feels like a very underwhelming conclusion to Raw, even with the title change.
okay.
And I mean, just with so many other guys on the roster, I mean, you could have had a U.S. title match with Rollins and Miz. I don't know.
Now that my memory's refreshed, I remember now Roman knocking out the Miz, and that I'll be real, that segment even felt unnecessary. I get the Miz had a match, and they did a storyline, whatever, with Logan, but I guess my point is that I don't really see a match on the Crown Jewel card that, by giving it any kind of a main event slot, if you will, would have progressed any of those matches any better than what they ended up being.
Right.
And so I agree with you. You could have ran a United States, title match, to the point of, I don't know what they're doing with Seth Rollins and Mustafa Ali. I don't know, because I feel like Survivor Series is next. I think if you're waiting that long to do Ali versus Seth at Survivor Series, you started the build way too, because they're not really, the storytelling is just not there yet. So
Yeah.
I could have agreed with you. Ray and Walter had like a 2-week build before their match. You probably could say that the same thing had started already with Ali and Seth. You probably could have done Ali and Seth as a main event here. If you wanted to continue the storyline, cool. You could have any kind of disqualification you want. You could have done Theory coming out and creating chaos just because he can't. I mean, like, there's so many options there.
Yeah.
Or you could have done number one contenders matches. If there was a number one contenders match needed for who's next for the tag titles. I know New Day said they had next on SmackDown. You could have done New Day on Raw versus insert Raw tag team here, who's going to be next for the SmackDown or for the tag titles. So I do agree with you. They have done something else in place of the women's tag title. Yeah, I do. Knowing that afterwards there were crown jewel implications, I did like how they did it, at least.
And I'll give you another one, and this kind of will feed into our fantasy booker segment later on. And I actually didn't have this on my list. I just thought of it. We could have had a U.S. title match, Rollins against Johnny Gargano.
Yeah,
Never seen that match.
I'm gonna be real though. I would hate for that to just be a one-off. Like if you're gonna do Seth Rollins versus Johnny Gargano, like that to me needs to be a storyline build, pay-per-view-esque match.
Yeah, I can agree.
Where Ali versus Seth to me doesn't scream pay-per-view. I mean, not right now. I don't have anything against Ali, but you just started using him again, and you've kind of tossed him right into the mix.
Oh yeah, 100% agreed. I mean, there's guys that they use on a regular basis that it just doesn't feel pay-per-view-esque. I'm sorry, but no disrespect intended, but Usos and Brawling Brutes does not scream pay-per-view tag match to me. It just doesn't.
So,
and I think in large, I'm jumping ahead. I'll save my detailed thoughts for that later. But anyway, go ahead.
One other thought, we can move on to our next thing. So if Roman was still in the States, that would almost to me imply that so was Logan Paul. And since Sami Zayn refuses to wrestle or be over in Saudi, why not do something along the lines of Sami versus Logan on Raw? You have, Logan get the lucky punch on Sammy even after the Usos, continue the Jay Sammy saga, have Jay get involved and distract Sammy enough to get knocked out as well. Now you got two people who have been knocked out with one lucky punch that are in the bloodline that can be like, oh, wow, like actually he could do this. That's the only thought that after like sitting back and thinking about it, if they were in the States, Roman's not going to wrestle a match on Raw, and he's not going to wrestle a match on Raw before his match with Logan Paul. Like, he's not done that in any storyline thus far. He has like maybe 5 matches in general on a SmackDown since he's been champion. So,
yeah, and to clarify your Sammy refusing to go, I think it's a Saudi situation. They don't want him there. But yeah, I'm sure it's both ways.
My point is, I know him and Kevin Owens are both basically no-goes, scratches for that. So just I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to get Sammy at Crown Jewel, why not put him on the Raw show and utilize him there to further the bloodline story, all that. So just a thought as we're kind of talking through it. That's the only other storyline, I guess you could say, that was on the Crown Jewel card that I could be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So the CM Punk saga continues. He's not coming back. He is coming back. He says he's coming back, possibly, but will WWE take him back? It's so weird how this is still a conversation. Like, I feel like we're bringing it up still on every single one of our shows, and CM Punk seems like he's this little pestering bug that won't go away. Maybe that analogy is not really expressing what I'm trying to convey, but I don't know. If you're CM Punk, I don't know why you would come back, even if you have this, if you caught the wrestling bug or whatever the quote was. It just, you keep getting injured. You're, for lack of a better word, fragile. So I don't know. I didn't figure we'd spend too much time on this, but it was in the news this past week. He isn't coming back. He wants to. Your thoughts?
I take the injuries out of it. Like, I can deal with somebody who gets injured a lot. I honestly can. As a promoter, as somebody who's in it to make money. If CM Punk puts butts in seats, and the only issue is that he's fragile, he could get hurt, there's ways to protect that. One, you don't have him wrestle every week. Two, you don't jump into the crowd on every entrance that he does. Like, you control your talent, and you don't allow him to do things that could injure himself. For instance, the NBA, those teams don't let basketball players go play football and think, oh yeah, you're going to be healthy come basketball season. No, they have clauses. They have things that say, no, you're not going to do X, Y, and Z without our permission to protect your body. So we have you for the matches that we need. AEW invested in CM Punk not once, twice, by giving him the title and saying, we want you to put on big matches for us. We want you to make us money. And both times got hurt during, before, after, right around the time he won the belt. It's not good for business, because one of the times it was because he hit the crowd and broke his foot. He didn't even get hurt in the actual match. He got hurt breaking his foot, jumping into the crowd. Like that. That's just lack of wisdom. Edge coming back, for instance. When Edge came back, Edge puts butts in seats. He sells tickets. Do they have Edge jumping into crowds with his neck? Absolutely not. All of the, what you could say, risky things that he has done have been pretty safe and done with safe wrestlers, if you will. He's been very well protected while allowing him to still put on good quality matches, entertaining stuff. You already saw me cut my CM Punk shirt up. You've seen me be pretty vocal about kind of being anti-Punk at this point. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I still love the mindset. CM Punk's not that good on the microphone. He had one good promo, maybe 2 or 3 if you want to get technical about it in WWE alone, and that got him over enough that after that point, no matter what he said, he was over. And in AEW, outside of maybe one promo that I saw during the MJF stuff, he got carried in the MJF stuff on the mic. MJF walked circles around him on the mic. I don't think I could put CM Punk in my top 10 list of mic workers. He's not as good as Build, is my point. So the thing that people think he's really, really good at, I don't even think he's that good at. Wrestling ability, maybe 5 years ago, he would have had a shot at still being the same CM Punk. I haven't seen the same CM Punk we saw in WWE in the ring. When Edge came back, I saw similarities. Yeah, he's older. Yeah, there's some things he can't do, but his ability in the ring didn't change. I'll tell you another one. Christian Cage. Him coming back into the ring, when he wrestles a match, it doesn't look much different than what he did 10 years ago before he got hurt. You know who looks different in the ring? Matt Hardy. You know who looks different in the ring? Jeff Hardy. Guys who can't do what they used to be able to do. To that point, I'm not necessarily as interested, because if you can't put on a good match anymore, why would I book you at like a top spot nonetheless? Bryan Danielson got hurt, came back, is putting on classic matches. He's
like the one AEW guy that was good, had to retire, leave, whatever, otherwise due to injury, and came back to be himself. I'll say Christian seems like he's a little bit slower. He's pretty close, but anyone
obviously
else
way up there in age comparatively.
Oh yeah, for sure. But anybody else that you can throw on that list, like you said, the Hardys, CM Punk, I mean, 100% agreed that they don't have what brought them to the dance, so to speak.
Right. So you don't see them booking Matt Hardy in title matches just because of Matt Hardy's name and what he's done for the business. You don't see them doing that anymore with Jeff Hardy. Outside of his troubles, you don't see Christian Cage. I know that he was in the TNT or TNA title picture, did the stuff with Kenny, but they were smart to capitalize that on that with him during the time that they did it. They never gave him the AEW title. It helped boost TNA in the process because they didn't really have anybody that they could put it on anyways. So that to me made sense, but he actually still looked decent enough in the ring to make that make sense. Like I said, outside of the dog collar match with MJF, I can't name you a good CM Punk match in AEW compared to other matches that they've had. He's below the wrestling threshold for what they've set their company to be.
Well, any decent match he's had in AEW, you're going to really, to be completely honest, credit the other guy he was wrestling. I mean, MJF definitely helped carry that match. Didn't he? I could be making this up. Didn't he have a match with Dax at one point before they?
I don't know about that. I remember the Darby Allin match. The Darby Allin match that he came in on was okay. It was like, it wasn't amazing.
I didn't like it.
It was okay at best. The problem is that match should have been a 5-star based off of how both were billed and the pushes that they were given. That should have been through the roof. So again, I'm obviously not CM Punk's biggest fan, but take the injuries out of it. If CM Punk wasn't a cancer in the locker room, a cancer on the mic, if he could control his actions, or he could control his own actions and do what's best for the company you're signed for, that you claim you want to grow and whatever, if he could take care of that, Fragile is the least of my concerns. I'll put CM Punk in tag matches and a tag team. I'll give him the Roman Reigns treatment, and you don't even have to wrestle on SmackDowns half the time. You cut your promo and you play a villain heel character, and you fight the big matches. That's what he was supposed to be doing in AEW anyways.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem doing that. But because he's a cancer, because both in WWE, when people thought WWE was tripping on him, I don't care how dirty and bad Vince McMahon might have been at the time. Clearly, CM Punk was not innocent in his actions, because he did the exact same stuff. All the people who have spoken negatively about CM Punk with his time in WWE, he's exemplifying the same kind of actions here in AEW, where he's been given everything. They literally rolled out the red carpet. They booked 973 Chicago shows just so he could get fans to cheer for him. They gave him a hot shot at the title twice. They gave him a headline in AEW media scrums. They let him do anything this man wanted to do. He got to do it, and it was not good enough. He still complained. He still picked fights with EVPs and people who were intricate parts of the company. I don't care if you like them or not. That's called business. I've worked with so many people I don't like, but at the end of the day, I have to work with them so that we can create good business. CM Punk's in it for himself. If WWE signs him, it's because they think that they're going to make money off of him. But I think at this point of the game, again, had he not done the AEW stint, WWE was interested. They would have gotten around their quarrels and whatever with him to bring him in because people wanted to see CM Punk. Now that he's shown his true colors again, and Triple H is in charge on that front end, absolutely not. They have too many stars to waste their time on trying to get CM Punk. If Brock Lesnar is still getting cheers and putting butts in seats, you do not need CM Punk.
Yeah, I think this would be the absolute worst move for the new regime, so to speak, if they bring in Punk. I think it would be absolutely dumb. We were going to touch on Logan Paul's injury, but I'll tell you what, let's tackle that after we
let's get
do our Crown Jewel recap. So I'm going to pull it up here. So I actually got to watch all of this.
Look at you.
So I can actually give an
opinion,
an appropriate opinion, and it's not going to be favorable. Just I'll throw that out there now. Here was my issue with this. I know you said you give a buffer to the Saudi events. I don't feel like the last 2 or 3 Saudi events have actually been pretty decent. So if anything, I had high hopes going into this, especially since Triple H is in charge now. What this felt like was this would have felt like an average to above, I'll say probably a slightly above average pay-per-view under the Vince McMahon regime, because this was under Triple H's tutelage, so to speak. This felt very underwhelming, in my opinion. I think a lot of the websites that I've read reviews for this event way overrated it. So, but we'll get into it. Opening match, Lesnar defeats Lashley. By the time they actually got in the ring and the bell rang, this match went 6 minutes. Lashley largely dominated the match. I was actually okay with how they wanted to do the finish. I thought it was creative, but the execution was awful. Now, I will say to Lashley's defense, if he has a hurt lock on Lesnar and they want him to have his shoulders down and keep the hurt lock on, those guys have big shoulders. I don't know if that's entirely doable or not. What they should have done was have the camera be on one side and show that shoulder down.
Yeah.
And say, okay, his shoulders were down. They got the pinfall. The problem was he was laying flat on his back, so neither shoulder was really on the mat, but you couldn't really do it because, again, both these guys are huge, and you can't release the lock because that's part of the finish. So execution was poor, but to their defense, I don't know that they really could have. I don't know either way. It just looked like it would have been really difficult. As far as the match itself, I felt it was weird going on first. I get that they like to open up with, a main event-esque type match.
Yeah.
But I was still really confused by it as far as being the opener. Match itself, it was Lashley and Lesnar. I didn't expect it to be anything phenomenal. So, I was okay with it. Your thoughts?
I will agree with you that I liked the idea of the finish, and I like the booking choice because you keep Lashley strong.
Agreed.
I don't know if that was I don't know if that was supposed to be a heel turn at the end with him attacking Lesnar because they just did all the work to get Lashley face. And if they are turning him, he's starting to get the Big Show treatment of
Yeah.
flopping back and forth between heel and face. And
I really wish
anytime
they
you
would have
go,
left that out at the end. Because one of the dynamic, I thought about this. I wasn't going to say this. This just popped in my head. As I was watching it, I remember thinking at the time, I actually like this dynamic of you don't really know who is supposed to be the face or who is supposed to be the heel, but you can just root for whoever you want to root for. That's the kind of wrestling that I like. I mean, if you've got two guys that, both are exhibiting somewhat heel tendencies, but it's all in competition, if that makes sense, then, okay, no big deal. We're not going to say one's a heel or one's a face, but then you had the attack at the end. I'm just like, what, why? And it almost felt like they were trying to have Lesnar be the heel going in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lesnar is a better heel to begin with. Hold on. I hate when my computer does this.
Stand by.
Hold on 1 second.
By the way, guys, I forgot to mention while Cole's working that out, I also forgot to mention that I'm kind of having my dinner as I'm doing this podcast. So I'm muting myself as I'm eating my food, just so you guys aren't taken aback by that. But it's been a crazy day and crazy week in general. So didn't get a chance to have dinner until literally right before we went live. Did you get worked out?
No. For some reason, my email lights up every single time we do a show. I think I have fixed it. All right.
Looks good on my end.
Okay. So, I didn't because Bobby Lashley got the first win at Rumble, obviously last year, and it was cheated. He cheated to win. Of course, at the time, that's the character he was playing. So that made sense to me. I liked the booking on this because Brock got the win in what you would consider an unnormal fashion for Brock Lesnar. Would have been cool. I get I guess, because they're wanting to make sure they set up for a third match at some point. Probably a WrestleMania match. That seems like what would make sense. They might have each other face off in the Rumble or something and take each other out and set up for
the rumor was
match.
They were going to do match 3 at that day 1 event before they canceled it.
Right. So, I mean, I could either see them doing it at Rumble or they're both in the Rumble. They take each other out of the Rumble. They brawl and then set up a Mania match. Either way, I get the attack, but I would have much rather seen like a sign of respect because Lesnar never attacked Lashley after he lost.
Right.
There wasn't none of that. Be shocked, whatever. So that way, when you set it for the third match, the arguments could be, well, you won by cheating. Oh yeah, but you won by you got lucky. You fell on top and whatever, got lucky. And setting up a third match where whoever wins, it's a clear-cut winner. The only complaint I actually had about the actual match, and I just wish that they would do a better job at this with Brock, it's the same match over and over again. No matter who Brock Lesnar fights, it is the same match. Attack before the bell rings, gets slammed through a table or through the guardrail or whatever. He has a knee issue at some point in the match, gets in the ring. They have their lucky stroke. They get their little run. He hits some German suplexes. He hits the F5. Somebody kicks out of the F5. It's amazing. And then Brock Lesnar, outside of how they finished the match, Brock Lesnar hits like 9 more F5s, wins the match. They're all about 6 minutes long. Yep. It's the same stuff. I think outside of Seth Rollins in one of their matches, that has been how most of his matches have gone. Can we please force Brock to at least change the create? I'm sure he's calling most of that while he's out there. He's the veteran out of the two. And from my understanding, he does want to have entertaining matches from those that have worked with him. And I know if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I trust me, I get some of those things. But we've seen, I mean, I literally thought I was watching another team run the same play, if that makes sense. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this from this match. Oh yeah, and I remember this from this Brock. Oh, and I remember this from this
But
match.
but Chris, the difference is John Cena had more than 3 or 4 moves in his arsenal. I know there's a joke that he only had like 5 or 6 moves. He had more than that. And Cena had better ring psychology than Brock Lesnar also.
And Cena would allow matches to go longer because he was willing to build back up. He was willing to get beat down, and that was his story. His story was always, start strong. Something happens, he's getting beat down. It looks like hopeless, and then the hero mentality. He comes up, he overcomes. Yada yada yada. So, although I do agree that a lot of top guys kind of have that kind of sequences, I guess. But with Brock, it just feels like it's 6 minutes long. You don't do a whole lot and in those 6 minutes, it's almost identical every single time. It's almost like you could just plug and play whoever you want to fight Brock, and we're going to do the same match.
And side note, sorry, go ahead.
That was my only real quarrel with the match, is that it wasn't very original for two guys that I thought MMA background. You guys are both known for, being strong amateur wrestlers, MMA fighters. I thought we could have saw a lot more grappling. I thought this could have been a 12-minute match where they really showed some submissions, some grappling, made it real more MMA-esque in nature, and then get to the German suplexes, the F5s, the spear, Lashley doing the thing off the ring post, all that stuff. But I was okay with it.
And I get, I mean, same here. And I get there is a pre-match thing and a post-match scrum, whatever. But bell to bell, Strowman and Omos went longer than this match, which is anyway. And by the way, guys, someone teach Lashley how to do a spear. I hate his spear with a passion. Like whenever he does a spear and then he does that rollout thing after or roll off, whatever. It's just
I think he does that just so he has a different spear than Roman Reigns and Goldberg and Edge and
well. Cole, did we lose you again?
Am I back?
There you go.
All right. I think he does that spear just to be a little bit different, because you have Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns, Edge, Goldberg, like all the guys that are still doing matches, just to kind of change it up. But I will say this, Bobby Lashley's just stiff in general when it comes to taking moves. He still doesn't know how to take a German suplex.
Well, that's a great point. I was either going to say he either is really good at knowing how his body can safely take a German suplex, or he has not learned how to take a German suplex. Like, it looks legit like it hurts whenever he takes those German suplexes. And if he's taking them safely, props to you, Mr. Lashley. But it doesn't look like that's how you take a German suplex. But
Chris, anyway. I just want to address Chris's comment here. Hopefully next week's show, that should be solved. I do not have an Ethernet port on my laptop. We just ordered it to allow me to hardwire directly into my Wi-Fi. So hopefully the freezing stops.
Indeed. Match number 2, Damage Control wins back the Women's Tag Team Championship over Alexa Bliss and Asuka. Just a hair under 13 minutes. I want to say real quick too, shout out to whoever in WWE creates the women's attire for these Saudi events. Because they don't look ridiculous. It looks.
I swear Eos wore that costume before.
Maybe. They look very tasteful in nature, if that's the best way to put it. So I don't know. I had to throw that out there because just real talk with you guys that are watching. It's not appealing at all for me. In fact, I don't watch women's matches when half of their stuff is hanging out. I don't. Like if there are times we're doing a pay-per-view review and I say I didn't watch this women's match, it's probably because a lot of their stuff's hanging out, like, and it's not appealing at all. So anyway, throwing that out there. The match itself, though, I thought their match on Raw was better, which I don't know.
So I guess the thought process here is, and again, we're going back to kind of copying matches. When you work with the same people over and over again, it is really hard to reinvent the match. So they kind of go back to the same mold that they did, and they try to add in, a little bit of a change of pace or change up things to just try to make the match just a little bit different. This match felt, I was going to say the same thing, felt very copycatish to.
Uh-oh. Sounds like get a turntable going there. We just lost Cole. Uh-oh. Device is not connected. All right, he'll be back. Maybe. Anyway, Cole will be back here in just a second. Like you said, hopefully we get that resolved. Yeah, Chris, you proposed that game, so go for it. Although I'm not sure if you want to do that on a Sunday night. Anyway, we'll wait on Cole to get back on here. But yeah, the match itself just felt very underwhelming in nature to me, and that's really the only way I can describe it. I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts, though, if you think that they're going the route of putting Alexa Bliss with the Bray Wyatt storyline, if they're going to keep them separate. I was really confused by the Nikki Cross interference in the match at the end. So I don't know. It just felt very underwhelming. It felt like there was something missing is the best way I can describe it. So your guys' thoughts. We need a co-host right now. Oh, by the way, I want to announce this real quick. One of our, I don't know if he's on the stream right now, but one of our patrons, Andrew, will actually be joining us on the podcast. I believe that's next week. I think he picked the 13th. And Cole is back.
All right, let's see if I fixed it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
For some reason, my camera and my mic just shut off. So I don't know what happened.
Well, technology is great when it works, but then when it doesn't, you just want to throw it in the trash.
Right.
But no, I was just saying how the match felt very underwhelming. It was like something was missing. And then I was really confused by the Nikki Cross interference because it's like they're going to tease Alexa Bliss with the Bray Wyatt storyline, but then you get the Nikki Cross interference. It's like, where are you going with this kind of mentality?
I do like the confusion because it's Bray Wyatt. So for me, like Alexa Bliss acknowledging the symbol and then going back to the interview, one of the best moves they've done is take Nikki Cross back to her crazy gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Get her away from any other gimmick that you've tried to do with her because you had a gold mine with the crazy stuff. And we even said back when Bray Wyatt was the Fiend, that Nikki would be a way better fit for that stable and that kind of stuff than what they, Alexa with what they did with Alexa Bliss. But I like the keeping us on our toes because I don't know. I haven't really acknowledged who Nikki's even after. She's attacked Bianca. She's attacked Bayley. She's attacked Dakota Kai and Io Shirai or Sky. And she's attacked Alexa Bliss and Asuka. So I do like the keeping you on the toes from the booking on Nikki's end. But I do agree. It, again, copycat for me. It felt like the same exact Raw match that they had with just changing the winners, changing the finish.
Agreed. All right. Let's see. Next match. Drew McIntyre defeats Karrion Kross by escaping the cage. 13-minute match. I like the finish. I like the tease of who's going to escape the cage first. The last couple minutes of the match was, really kind of kept you on your toes. Mad respect for Drew McIntyre as well. I don't know if you saw this, Cole, but he was actually really, really sick, but insisted on going through with the match. I think that was PW Insider that revealed that earlier today, that no specifics were given, but just that he had been really sick for the last few days, and again, insistent on having the match. So that does kind of help put a little bit of a buffer on my thoughts on the match itself. I thought this was, how many matches have they had so far together? Was this
this is 2,
just,
right?
just the 2?
They've done the strap match where he got maced, and then this one.
I thought they had a standard one-on-one match for some reason. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Extreme Rules was their first match.
Okay. And I feel like this was a running theme throughout the night. Not with all the matches, but a lot of them. This just felt like this match left a lot to be desired, so to speak. And I don't know if it was I don't know if they just didn't gel that well this time around. If it was because Drew was, battling sickness at the time, but I did like the finish. The last couple minutes kind of kept you on your toes, but the first 10 minutes of the match, I was just kind of bored.
I feel like they're too similar of wrestlers that they clash in style. They both are kind of, set the pace, keep the pace kind of wrestlers. I even kind of felt that way in their Extreme Rules match. Like on paper, you think the match would be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes this match feel less than, is that it wasn't a bad match, but on paper, I kind of feel like it should have been bigger. And I'm going to say this, since Cross has been back, I feel like he's lost, I don't want to say lost a step, but he's lost that feeling of the dominance that he had when he first came in.
Oh, I agree. And this is something I was actually going to bring up. So I saw an interesting post on Twitter, and I wanted to extend it to you and all of the people watching, and you can give us your guys' take. So if you had to go from 1 to 10 on Karrion Kross's most recent WWE stint since he returned, in total, what would you rank it as from 1 to 10? I really want to give it a higher number just because I know the potential, but I mean, and I feel like this is being generous. I'd give it a 6 at best.
So I'm sitting currently, I agree with you. There's a lot of potential. I'm sitting at a 6, mainly because the promos, the vignettes, all that stuff's been good.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't lost the mic ability, all that. I think the booking of Extreme Rules really, really hurt how I view him as a dominant wrestler, because we were talking to a guy in NXT. He was choking everybody out. He literally ran through the roster straight to the title picture, choked out Keith Lee, who was on a dominant run, Tommaso Ciampa. Like he ran the gauntlet on the top guys that were in NXT at the time. Vince McMahon brings him in, makes him look like a fool on the main roster, quits, or gets fired, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Brings him, you bring him back. I'm not against the look, the hair, all the look doesn't bother me.
Oh no, I'm all for the presentation.
It having him win with a cheating tactic on his first match, to me, was a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Having Scarlett mace Drew may not have been the perfect person to put him up against, first off, in the first place.
Agreed.
I don't really understand the booking. I may have put him up against, obviously the go-to, it seems like, a Seth Rollins, but I probably would have put him in a different storyline of some sorts. Maybe put him, I know it's on Raw, but maybe put him where Dexter Lumis is right now and having him attack The Miz, get him over. He could still be a heel and get over by attacking The Miz, because people were excited to see Cross back.
Oh yeah.
And kind of have him torment, The Miz for a while, or, name whoever you want to name. But I think Drew is a hard person to go up against on your first few back in the first place. But Cross was dominant, and having him lose by cheating felt less than. And it felt like, I'm getting the vibe, oh, he can't win on his own now. I don't think Scarlett cheated once for him in his first stint in NXT. She
No.
was just a creepy manager, valet, whatever. Like it, and I liked that.
Yeah.
So this is a struggle with his current run because even in this match, he was gonna win. If he won, it would have been by cheating. And I'm like, why are we having Scarlett get involved when he's supposed to be this dominant TikTok, my time's now kind of character? And I feel like they've pulled that aspect from him out, and have made him, I guess, in a sense, feel weaker than the character we once saw and
I
we're
agree.
excited for.
Match number 4, the 6-man tag match. Judgment Day defeats the OC. 14-minute match. I liked the finish. I liked the call of Finn Balor getting the win, but AJ taking another pinfall loss, that's not the route I would have gone. I would have had Finn, get the pinfall over. Really, Gallows or Anderson, either one of the two. But having AJ take a pinfall within the span of 6 days, or was it the Raw before? Whenever AJ lost to Dominic. That was the Raw before.
2 or 3 weeks ago, because Carl Anderson's wrestled the past 2.
Yeah. Okay.
So 3 weeks.
It's been okay. It's actually been a little bit longer than I thought. But either way, having AJ take a pinfall from Dominic, then take the pin from Finn Balor here, I get the logic because you really want to build up Balor, at least from the rumors that we've seen. But I still feel like you could have given Balor the rub and still, not have AJ take the pinfall, because what this does for me is makes me less interested if they end up having a singles match with just Finn and AJ.
Yeah, I get your point. I probably would have had Gallows take the pin, just from the standpoint of, and however you wanted to do that. Carl Anderson had already taken 2 L's back-to-back weeks on Raw. And out of respect for New Japan, I wouldn't have had him take an L on the day that he was supposed to be at their pay-per-view. If he was going to miss to be there, he should at least not have to be pinned. So I think Gallows would have been the safe one to have pinned. I actually think they got the booking of this wrong. I know that they've been pushing the Judgment Day, but you've been giving the Judgment Day over time and time again. Obviously, clearly, they're setting something up with Rhea. I'm assuming it's going to be against Beth Phoenix. I don't know when they're going to do that, but they mentioned Beth Phoenix again.
Do you want me to tell you who it's going to be?
I'm interested.
Huh?
I'm interested. Who are they saying?
The spoiler I've read is it's going to be Raquel Gonzalez.
See, I don't understand that because she's on SmackDown. And I know, we could just switch her. And that doesn't make sense from an OC standpoint for me.
No, I agree. I mean, that was just something, I think it was Fightful that reported that.
The Beth Phoenix thing at least makes sense because she's avenging Edge, who's out. That one made sense. And who doesn't love Beth Phoenix coming back and wrestling a match against anybody? The only other person that I would be okay with would be Charlotte Flair. And just because of the name value, and again, no titles are involved, so it's something for Charlotte to do without being in the title picture. She has ties to AJ Styles back when they did the mixed match tag team challenge stuff. So do not bring back Nia. So obviously they're setting up for something with Rhea, but they keep doing this again. Maybe the theme of this pay-per-view is been there, done that, because the finishes to every Judgment Day match have been Rhea got involved, they got the pin. Rhea got involved, they got the pin. I'm kind of
over it.
Predictable is not fun to watch, and that's what that ended up being for me.
And I agree. I think I get why they went the route that they did of having Finn get the pinfall, but I agree. I think I would have booked this, have the OC get the win. Going back to the last match, I think they got that booking wrong too. I would have had Cross go over. I get that it was just a steel cage. I get that he didn't get pinned and just crawled out last, or crawled out just a half a second behind Drew, or however, a second, 2 seconds, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I think that was like in the back of my mind as I'm thinking about it, I feel like they got a lot of the booking on this pay-per-view wrong, or at least I would have done it differently. So that maybe weighs on my negative opinion of the event, maybe a little too much, but still, I just.
Well, what's frustrating with the cross Drew match is clearly they're going to set up a third match now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like I said, I've already felt frustrated with the first two, and you did a strap match and a steel cage match. How do you can't have like a normal wrestling match now as their third match? Like, how do you one up those matches? So,
well, it almost feels like lazy booking at this point, because how many of these programs are going to have a, best of 3 program kind of deal?
Right.
Anyway, let's hope this next match does not get a best of 3. Braun Strowman defeats Omos, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. I mean, the match was what it was. Big guy versus big guy. I will say this as kind of a positive. I do feel like Omos is starting to get noticeably better in the ring, or maybe more comfortable is the best way to phrase it. Still not great, but he's improved from what he was. But again, the match I didn't have any expectations for. It was just kind of one of those, felt like a filler type match. And then Braun Strowman, I don't know if you've seen this, he went on a Twitter rant today, just like
I did see it.
Yeah. So just like, I don't know, I'm not even going to go into it. If you guys watching want to see what I'm talking about, you can check out his Twitter, but
I might go into it. But
well, if you want to, go for it. But yeah, I mean, just the match is what you would have expected it to have been.
Now,
I will say they got the booking right, thank God.
The thing about Omos is they got to get him a character. Every I don't want to say every. Most of the big men in WWE that have had long, successful careers, they had to have some kind of a gimmick. They had to have something that made them entertaining to watch. MVP, I thought, would have helped some, because at least Omos doesn't have to be on the mic.
Yeah.
But it hasn't for me. He's not. Like, make him a hitman, and people are hiring him to go and destroy people. Put him in I know he did this thing. The most exciting Omos has ever been was with AJ Styles. And AJ Styles did the mic work. Omos had good spots in those tag runs. He was tag team champ. I actually didn't mind him. We actually bragged about how good Omos looked in the ring when he was with AJ Styles. He actually had some good moves. Like, there was a good move set there. I would make him like a mob boss. Like he's some kind of, you got to get through me to get to him kind of thing. And they just haven't done that very well. Obviously, to me, this was a one-off match.
Let's hope so.
It was a way to get Braun Strowman over more. It was just another accolade to give Braun Strowman being the monster of all monsters now. Again, I don't really know what you do with Braun Strowman. I like him. I don't know what you do with him outside of what they've been doing already. But the match was okay. The issue I have with the Twitter thing is this was Braun Strowman. This was not the match to brag about.
No, not at all.
I agree with what he was trying to say, that, it sucks. I think it sucks being the big man sometimes, because you don't get the big pops for jumping over the ropes and doing, flips and dives and all this stuff. It's really hard to get for a big man to get a pop, unless you're a Gunter doing a massive chop, like
his big pop happens before he even walks through the curtain. It's when his thing hits.
Like, so, but mid-match, other than him running the ring and doing the merry-go-round, chest body checks or whatever, like there's not much that he can do in the ring that gets that massive, like, oh my goodness, like, I can't believe he just did that, kind of reaction. Right. Where I guess the little guy has that advantage because they can do dives. They, there's a lot more in their arsenal that they can bring out. And I think what he was trying to say is, we just proved that you can have a good match two big men who don't have to jump over ropes and stuff to get people to be entertained. You're also talking about a Saudi crowd. Saudi was into that match. You want to know why? Because Saudi was into every match. They were excited that WWE was in Saudi Arabia. That every match was hyped to them. Braun Strowman sells tickets in Saudi Arabia. That's why they had him there. That's why they made the match. They were hyped to see their people. I get it. Again, don't know if this is the match that I would have been like, look what big men can do. I almost would have said you could have done that between you and Otis, but I just don't know if this was the point. This was the time to make the point he was trying to make, because to me, the argument falls flat on this particular match. Now, reading some of the people, some Will Ospreay and Ricochet, and first off, WWE, don't let your other talents tweet back.
Agreed.
And honestly, if check him on his tweet too. I don't really feel like his tweet was like a knock or a diss at, Will Ospreay's comment to me kind of made it feel like he thought it was a diss at them. I don't think it was a diss. I think he was trying to say, look, we can be exciting too. It was an add to, not a diss on. And that's kind of how I read it before I read anybody else's comments. And Will was like, you're mad that other people are making money? And I was like, he never said any of that. He just said, look, we don't have to do flip-floppy stuff to be entertaining. Again, not the match to brag on, but I got his sentiment was, look, we can do cool things too as big men. But I wouldn't have let first off, Braun Strowman, if he got permission to post that, cool. I would not have let Ricochet or I forgot who the other.
Ali responded.
Mustafa Ali was the one I saw. I wouldn't have let either one of them comment or tweet back if that was an approved text or tweet.
I mean, unless they're setting Strowman and Ali are buddies behind the scenes and we don't know about it, which if that's the case, then fine, whatever, no big deal.
Ricochet's seemed harmless anyways. Like his really didn't seem like a disagreement even. It just seemed like a respond back. And Chris Jericho's, he said,
I used to bag groceries.
I used to bag, like, some of it was just silly. Like I didn't really consider it, I guess, backlash, but just not the match that I would have preferably bragged on if I was Braun Strowman. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Next match, Usos retained over the Brawling Brutes, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Again, I feel like that when it comes to match time, yes, the Usos, they deliver during the match, but it's almost like with this bloodline program and whatnot, whenever they go to their match, it almost feels like you expect more than what we get. I don't know if that's just me, but another element of this match is it kind of, and I mean this with no disrespect, because I don't know how long he's been in the business, but this feels like a one isn't like the other. And you can tell in the ring. Like Ridge Holland is still very green, in my opinion. As far as the match itself, Thomas says it was a good match. I was okay with it. I wasn't blown away by it. Again, falls under that category of left some to be desired.
Ridge Holland just he's playing to me. He's like, he reminds me of a created character on like the starting mold of a created character on WWE. Like, he's too plain for me. And I have a hard time watching feuds where the other team never gets over. Like, they've already challenged the Usos for the belts. They lost. They get to re-challenge again. They lost. So I'm just kind of like, are you running out of names to have them have challenge? Like, you have a bajillion tag teams. This was a Saudi show. I think the better storyline here, because of the streak and everything, would have had the New Day versus the Usos in Saudi. Winner keeps the streak, basically, right? Like, if the Usos win, they have the rights to the streak now. And if the New Day wins, they win the tag belts and they get to keep their streak. The streak's intact on how many days as champion. So I thought that the booking in general on this match was just a little weird because the Brutes had already lost recently, and you
Yeah.
have other tag teams that if you wanted the Usos to get the dub on a Saudi show, you could have insert name here be there, and
Yeah.
it to me would have been the same outcome, same type of match.
Agreed.
So
Next match, last woman standing, Raw Women's Championship. Bianca defeats Bailey, retains the championship. A little over 20-minute match. So my problem with the last two matches are this. I actually read ahead of time some match reviews without the spoilers being given away because I wanted to actually watch it without knowing who won ahead of time. And one of the reviews like really, really hyped up this match. And so I actually expected it to be a lot better than what it was. It wasn't bad by any means, but I feel like that their timing was really slow, really delayed in certain spots. Like you could tell that they were hesitating here and there. I echo the sentiments of a lot of our listener and viewer base that I'm not a big proponent of Bianca Belair anymore. I feel like she's gotten dry, stale, whatever. I think they got the booking wrong here too. I would have actually had Bailey get the win and win the championship here. So, yeah, but besides that, I mean, it was a decent match, but like the spot at the end with the ladder and trying to trap Bailey in, like she could have gotten out of that. Like that was not believable at all. So
for the first ever women's last man standing match in WWE, I thought it was a good start. If they ever decide to go down that road again, I would not have put Bailey in this match, period. Because here's the thing. I'm getting really tired of them bringing their top 4 women back and putting them straight to the title and having them win it. Because what happens is that you can't have Charlotte, Bailey, Sasha, or Becky Lynch on the roster without having them in the title picture or holding the title now. That's how it feels.
yeah,
It feels like every time they come back or they're on the roster, they have no place other than in the title picture or holding the title. So I can understand and agree to an extent that Bianca's going stale. Some of that I think is out of her control because of how they booked her.
yeah,
You know, you've not really given her great opponents outside of, the Becky Lynch storyline. She fought Dewdrop. I like let's evaluate the title reign as well. It feels very similar to me of the booking of like Big E's title reign.
yeah,
You're not really giving great opponents with great storylines. You're doing, Nikki ASH, Dewdrop. I'm trying to. Was Zelina Vega in there? I think at one point in time. I can't even remember all of them. But outside of Becky Lynch, she hasn't really had an entertaining women's wrestling championship storyline.
yeah,
Other than the Sasha Banks stuff when she won the belt, but like. And so some of it I think is out of her control. She's obviously a crowd favorite. Girls, kids love her. So it makes sense that she's champion. I am glad that they didn't just put a belt on Bailey because Bailey's back. But now you run into this issue. What do you do with Bailey? You can't have her. You can't have Bailey fight Bianca again and win now. She's lost twice to her in stipulation matches. I'm just I don't know. And then the problem is you have Damage Control, which you're trying to make dominant. They have the women's tag belts. They're winning matches, but Bailey can't win the big one. So like this is that weird booking issue you run into when you have a star that you don't really know how to use outside of the title picture. And I feel like that's the corner they backed themselves into, unfortunately, with the 4 horsewomen in general. You got to be able to build other stars. Your Bianca Belairs, your Lacey Evans, Raquel Gonzalez, Rhea Ripley. Like those women have to start to be able to be women's champion too and be entertaining. Because the reality is women don't last in this business near as long as men do, it seems like. And you're not going to have Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bailey forever. A lot of them have lagging injuries on top of that too. So they could easily get injuries. Their body could wear down a lot quicker than expected. Now you don't have any of them. Shayna Baszler, I didn't even mention her. Like, you have enough talented women that aren't the 4 horsewomen that could have been in this match, could have taken the belt off Bianca if that's what needs to be done. That doesn't need to be a Bailey, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky. So match was
Main
okay.
Event, main event, Roman Reigns retains over Logan Paul. A little under 25 minutes. Logan Paul is going to be a star. I mean, like, I'm really blown away by how good he is in such a short time. Like, I mean, it's clear that he has just like this natural gift, but he's also, he's spent substantial time practicing and training and working on his move set. Like, he pulled out maybe the best buckshot lariat I've ever seen. Like, that was smooth as all get out, man. Like, that, whenever he pulled that off, I was like, oh, okay. Like, whenever you do a finishing move better than the guy whose finishing move it is, that's saying something. Whenever you do a finishing move better than someone else whose finishing move it is, and you've only been in the business for 3 matches, like, now that all being said, I wouldn't give it a 5-star match by any means, but I mean, this definitely had its false finishes and teases and, all the run-ins and such that you would expect. Logan Paul might have one of the best frog splashes ever. Super smooth. The announce table spot was cool. I don't know if you've seen the actual video that he did.
Yeah.
I think at last check, it had like close to 40 million views at this point across all of the platforms and whatnot. So definitely, not even close match of the night for me. I mean, for good reason. Roman Reigns definitely has gotten to that point where, like, he is definitely your main event guy. Like, he's no longer this, guy that's, yeah. Ring psychology is, always there at this point. So, it was great. It was, saying it was a great match might be pushing it. It was a very, very, very good match. Your thoughts?
We can never forget the E in WWE.
Yeah.
It's entertainment for them. And this match was entertaining. It was fun to watch. We all knew that be real with yourself. Nobody in their right mind who's an actual wrestling fan was like, Logan Paul's going to win this match. We don't need another David Arquette situation, okay? Nobody in their right mind thought Logan Paul was going to win this match. You know what they did think? They thought, hey, Logan Paul, people love to boo him. He's good on the mic. He's got a bajillion. People hate him, yet he has a bajillion followers. Make that sense to me.
He has, let's put it this way, guys, he has a backup Instagram account with millions of followers and it's verified. What does that tell you? Like it's his backup account.
Legitimately, and his promos, where's the lie? He said, in every industry I've ever done, I am the table. He didn't really lie. We're talking about a guy that scored a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, and he's never really boxed before except against another YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's how much draw this guy has, is that people are like, oh, that's going to sell tickets. Like that's going to be entertaining to watch. And I give it to Jake Paul too. They both, you say what you want about them. They both sell tickets.
Yeah.
They're social media stars. Entertainment, what WWE does. This was entertaining. The story build to this was actually really good. The one lucky shot, the way they utilize press conferences like they do Jake Paul stuff. I like that they did with Logan Paul and Roman and set up the press media scrums, especially at the time that the AEW brawl happen, and they're
Yeah.
doing media scrums. And I liked bringing Jake Paul in. I liked, even though his knockout punches to the Usos were a little cheese, he's probably not been in the Performance Center near as much as Logan. And so, it's probably kind of something on the fly. I give it to Logan Paul's other two guys who were willing to take super kicks and get thrown over guardrails.
Right.
Because they definitely don't look like they're in the same kind of shape and whatnot. And so this was just entertaining from left to right. I agree with you. Logan Paul is exactly what you want in a WWE star. He's good on the mic. He's a good look. He's got a good look to him. Charismatic, good in the ring. We're talking 3 matches. Now, listen, anybody that Triple H puts his stamp on, I trust it. If you know Triple H's wrestling psychology and how he looks and views the business, when Triple H says this man's putting in his time in the PC, this man's putting in the work, this man, he's the stuff, and then says anybody who complains about him getting a title shot so quickly and the push that he's gotten, they don't understand the business. Come on, Triple H has got a point. As soon as he said that, I had to shift my focus because I was starting to kind of be like other fans and understand, well, they could have booked anybody in this match. There's so many people more deserving. And yeah, from a wrestling standpoint, there are a ton of people who are more deserving. But why have them take an L on a Saudi show that does not really, in the grand scheme of things, does not really matter as far as who wins and loses? Let's just be real.
Yeah.
We've not seen major turnovers or changes of storylines and belts and everything on Saudi shows. That's just the reality. And so that's where I'm kind of like, this was to sell tickets, and they nailed it. They nailed it. Overall, they had a safe pay-per-view. The matches were good, not great. A lot of copycat matches, a lot of filler matches, in my opinion. This match takes the cake, though. This match was fun to watch. Like I said, I like the Jake Paul run-in. I'm kind of hoping for Pauls versus the Usos maybe at Royal Rumble or something, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Because it's entertaining. The selfie cam thing when he frog splash, I thought he was going to miss. I surely thought he was going to miss. But like you said, the buckshot lariat looked good. The frog splash is up there with Seth Rollins. If you want to talk about current people who do frog splashes, it's up. He does it better than Dominic Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio has been trying to perfect that since he probably started wrestling.
Yeah.
It's better than Ray's. I mean, he just got the stuff. And I think sometimes it's hard to have the intangibles. Logan Paul's got it. He's got an amateur wrestling background. He's got everything you need to be successful. I wish he could actually devote more time to it. I wish he was so like, hey, I want to be WWE, even though I can make way more money doing everything else that I'm doing. I want to be WWE. So let me really do this, because who could you just imagine a focused Logan Paul where all his focus and energy is WWE right now, where this guy could be in 2 years?
Oh yeah.
We're talking 3 matches where he could be in 2 years.
100%. Hopefully he can recuperate soon. We mentioned his injury at the beginning.
Real or fake? Do you think it's real or fake?
I think it's real. I mentioned on one of our chat threads, like if he really completely tore his meniscus, ACL, and MCL, dude wouldn't be able to walk. But apparently it's like a partial tear of the meniscus, partial tear of the MCL. I think they're still waiting to hear back on the ACL side. But from what I've read, if it's a partial tear, that you
can still perform.
It doesn't feel good, but yeah, you can still. But
here's another thing that you got to give him then. If it is real and he did all of that with injuries too, a lot of guys would have just said, I'm out. This is not my profession. This is not what I do.
Yeah.
And for him to I don't know. I felt like it was kind of fake just to put over Roman Reigns even more. Like, he put the hurt on him, but
we'll see. Man, it's already almost 8:30 our time. Let's give this a quick final grade, and then we're going to tackle a few other things before we call the night. Final grade for the night. What do you give it?
It was a safe pay-per-view. I'm going B-.
B- was my grade also. I feel like that's more than fair. The pay-per-view, the main event actually brought up the grade for me. If the main event was more of a dud, I'd be in the C range easily.
Right.
So, won't spend too much time on this, but I do want to throw some announcements and set you guys' way.
Paid for by the following.
You cut off Lord Alfred Hayes. How dare you? That's StreamYard for you. Just a reminder, guys, we are now live on Sunday nights, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. You guys know where you can find us on social media. Scrolling across the bottom of your screen, it's in the description of all of our videos and such. Something else that's also in the description of our videos, if you feel led in any way or compelled to support us financially, we appreciate it. We have a Patreon page. You can send us through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We do have our belt raffles, which we actually just did one, and Cole said we got good feedback on it. We did a 30-spot Royal Rumble through 2K22, went over really well. Cole and I are going to discuss, when we'll do more of those. We'll let you guys know. Don't forget about our Pro Wrestling Tees page. There it is. ProWrestlingTees.com/GoingBrdwyPodcast. We are still running our promotion where if you buy one shirt, you get one entry to win a belt from us. If you buy 10 shirts, you get 10 entries to win a belt from us. That promotion ends on December 31st of this year. Again, there's no limit to how many entries you can get. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Chris, we're not even going to go there. Not even worth discussing.
I had to giggle.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
If you don't mind me putting a little feeler out there real quick.
Go for it.
Just because I want to see where your guys' interest level would be. So obviously we've done the Royal Rumble, and like I said, I've gotten a lot of great feedback on that. We will do more of, different styles, different things that come with that. But we do a lot of belt raffles, and that's great. I know everybody loves belts, and the belts that we give out are great quality. But we'd really like to use the WWE game more, and since the tournaments aren't working out the way that we thought they would, with the game not being cross-gen, that's put a huge issue on us being able to do the tournaments the way we wanted to.
We would need four brackets instead of 2.
Right, which we're having a hard time so far. More updates on that to come as we approach closer, because right now we are just not filling out the brackets the way we need to. But your guys' thoughts on still doing belt raffles. We're not going to ever stop doing that. But your thoughts on doing smaller raffles, if you will. So we might do like an elimination chamber with 8 slots, and the winner gets a $5 Pro Wrestling Tees gift card. And the entry would only be like $5. So it'd be the first 8 people to sign up, $5. You choose your wrestler. It's an all CPU elimination chamber, if you will. So just your thoughts. Maybe not just elimination chamber. Might do Hell in a Cell, battle royals, ladder matches, just different things like that. But we would stream all of those to the page. You guys could watch them. It's another way for us to engage and interact with you guys. So just want to get your thoughts. If you guys throw in the comments, throw it in our chat threads, if you'd be interested, because they would be a smaller match. We can't do a belt for it, but we could give away a $5 Pro Wrestling Tee gift cards, $25 WWE Shop gift cards. Who knows? We might give you a couple months of Peacock for free to watch pay-per-view. I don't know.
There you go.
We could throw a bunch of different ideas at you. But they would be smaller giveaways, but also the entry fees would only be like $5.
As opposed to like 13 or 15 per spot.
Right. And you get to pick the wrestler that you want for those matches, obviously. So just a thought, throw it out there. I'm seeing some I like it. For those of you who didn't watch, I had a minor mistake that I will fix the next time we do a Royal Rumble. I had selected, I still have to pick somebody, even though it's a CPU. I had selected Brock Lesnar to be in the match, and I guess I didn't catch it or it was a glitch. I still haven't figured that out. But Brock Lesnar somehow entered the match twice. He got eliminated and came out the next pick and still got eliminated. But it felt very Vince McMahon-ish type booking. So it wasn't like you couldn't believe that it wouldn't happen. So I will get that fixed for the next one, make sure it doesn't happen again. But anywho, just wanted to throw it out there, put some feelers out there. So if you guys would like 8 slot type raffles where the winner gets some kind of a gift card for WWE or Pro Wrestling Tees, or insert Fight TV or subscription.
You guys can also give us suggestions on prizes that you would like to win. And
Alex, do you know the answer on this one? I can go look.
I think it's still there.
We don't usually delete our feeds, so it should be there. You should be able to watch it. I might even go download it and take like the last couple minutes and put it on our YouTube and clip it. I need to look at that.
Looking right now.
And Elimination Chamber 2K22 winner gets $10 million. We're gonna need a lot more Patreon members to hand out 10 mil.
Yeah, we're gonna have to break by far breaking Patreon records that might exist out there.
I don't know if I understand.
I can't, for some reason I can't see what videos are existing whenever we're live, so I'll have to check whenever we've ended the stream. So
Chris, I don't know if this is serious or not. I don't understand. An entry into the PWT belt raffle. Is there a Pro Wrestling Tees belt raffle that they do?
I think he's talking about if you win one of these, if you
yeah.
As an example, if you do like an 8-man elimination chamber and they pay the $5 and then they win, they get an entry into
that. Okay. Now
I think I'm gonna actually keep that separate though, just to keep it fair.
And who knows if we do one of those even before that's over. I'm not saying we're going to do one next week. Just throwing feelers out there. We want to utilize the gaming and try to do as much as we can with it, since we're not really able to host matches for you guys at this point in time. Hopefully we find a solve or think of something that we can do there. But until then, this is a way we can utilize the game and still make it fun.
Yeah. Hey guys, due to time constraints, I'm gonna have to skip over our fantasy booker segment. We'll do that next week. And I think it'll be more fun next week because we've got, as of now, Andrew Boehner is joining us. He's one of our patrons.
Yeah.
He is selected next week to join us. So we'll have a 3-man team next week. So that'll be an interesting conversation, an interesting time, if you will. What's that music mean? That's right, guys. We're going to have an unannounced giveaway. Now, it was unannounced if you're not on our Patreon page. For our patrons, they knew about this ahead of time. So, what we're going to do is I want you guys to reply with just the word give, GIVE. If you want to be entered into this giveaway, I will give you exactly 60 seconds starting now. Reply with the word give if you want to be entered, GIVE. You only get one entry. I think I'm gonna kill this music.
I was trying to figure out how I could pull it down for you just a little bit. It was just a tad bit compared to your voice, but
was it too loud?
I could still hear you, but I was gonna bait it for you, but it
Okay.
wasn't letting me get to it in time.
But yeah, just about 30 more seconds, guys, and I will let the winner decide if they want me to reveal on air what the prize is, or if they just want to be surprised whenever they get the prize shipped to them. So let's see.
All I'm going to say is it's rare.
It's a rare item indeed.
It's a rare item.
Okay, so I'm going to close that up right now, and guys, with our new setup, unfortunately, I don't have a way of proving who exactly wins. unfortunately, but
you know us, you trust us, and
hopefully
we appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I want to make sure that let's see. It's final baby elephant.
We are not giving away a baby elephant. I'm pretty sure there's laws against it. We don't have the proper license.
Yeah, because
that's really the only thing that's stopping us is the licensing. Otherwise, we'd be giving out baby elephants every week. You know, we just have a farm of them.
I think baby elephants are a little more expensive, but anyway. Okay, so we're gonna do this 10 clicks like always. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and click number 10 is our winner, and that is generational talent. And I think we know who that is. So
he's a sports entertainer.
He is a sports entertainer indeed.
He's mid.
So, Mr. Tilley, if you want us to reveal what your prize is on air before we depart, let me know. Or if you just want to be surprised, it's your call. You just let us know.
Fun fact, I learned this the other day. I did not know that David Tilley and Bruce Jackson are like down the street from each other. Like they live near each other. I learned Bruce Jackson, shout out to him. He helped me figure out the cross-gen stuff with the gaming. We got to chatting and he was like, yeah, you know, I see Tilley all the time. And I was like, oh.
Oh, he says I'd rather be surprised. Oh, I was kind of hoping we could reveal it. Okay. Mr. Tilley, I'm just going to ask, can we reveal it? It's such a rare item. I want to share it with everybody.
It's a rarity. You got to understand.
Let us share.
You got to understand how rare this item is. It is the rarest of things.
Let us share.
Can we share it?
Sure, reveal it. I guess that's what he means. Okay. So this is a one of one. Only one of these were ever made. And Mr. Tilley will own it. And I hope it fits. It is, and you cannot buy these on Pro Wrestling Tees. We did not put this SKU on our Pro Wrestling Tees shop, and we're not going to. It is the Hustle, Loyalty, Respect GBP hoodie in gold with blue and white. It is a size XL and not been worn. It still has the tag on it. So, and we can attest, guys, these are comfortable hoodies. Like we don't even make hoodies anymore. Well, we never did ourselves, but you guys get what I'm saying. You can't get hoodies on Pro Wrestling Tees. So, yeah, that is a rare one of one item. Congratulations, Mr. David Tilley. Shout out to David as well. I feel like he participates a lot in our contests and giveaways. Kind of feels like he doesn't win as often as he should, but glad he got.
You're a winner tonight.
Glad he got the win tonight. And he's someone that's donated prizes to our show to just for our giveaways. Just out of the kindness of his heart, didn't ask for any money. Just said, hey, I got some stuff I want to send you. What's your address? And sure enough, he sent it. So we appreciate it. And it's nice to be able to pay it back of sorts to Mr. Tilley. So that being said, guys, it is way past our time to depart. Cole, any final thoughts?
As always, guys, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast. I could go back down again. I got to figure out how to get this to stop doing this. Thank you guys for watching. We do sincerely appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, we're live every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll have a great show lined up for you guys next week. I'm still trying to get my email to stop popping up.
Well, while
don't
you're working on
forget-
that, I was going to tease next week's show as well. So in addition to Andrew joining us, we're going to revisit doing this fantasy booker segment that we didn't get to this week. We'll make sure to do that right away, pretty much right after our normal intro and such. Basically, just we put together some matches, or at least I did put together some matches that we haven't seen before, whether it's just a one-off or if it's an actual storyline program, etc. And then depending on time, we might next week might do some fan mail. We might do some kind of goes under the fantasy booker subject, I guess, but there's a topic we used to do called Making the Move, where we just discuss wrestlers or talent, agents, etc., that we could either see jumping to another company, or maybe that we'd rather see in another company, to be quite honest. Sorry, guys. And it's going to be a fun show next week, because at least for a normal podcast, I don't think we've had a 3-man crew before. We've had our buddy Austin join us a time or two for watch parties, but that's been it. I mean,
way back when we first started.
Way back. Like literally our first maybe three or four shows. Yeah. First maybe 3 or 4 shows we were a 3-man crew, and then just became us. So anyway,
back to my spiel. I'm back.
Go for it.
So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you guys can support the show in any kind of way, you can subscribe to us on Twitch. One, if you plan on watching these video game things that we're doing, whether it be Royal Rumbles or whatnot, if you subscribe, which is $4.99 a month, I think, you don't get any commercials. So you don't have to worry about being interrupted.
No ads.
By any of those things, ads, commercials. You don't have to worry about that. So $4.99 a month. You subscribe to us. Twitch is probably one of the better options to watch us on too. It's quick. Comments, are come through quick. So when we do giveaways, game show type stuff, it's usually one of the quicker ones. And we usually do our exclusive shows like watch parties, things like that on our Twitch. So
which we will still do.
You're gonna want to make sure you're on that. So consider subscribing to that, $4.99 a month. Consider becoming a Patreon. We're trying to create more and more things for our patrons, just to show how much we appreciate the support and all that you guys do to help us do this. So consider those 2 things. Consider, again, we're doing giveaways. Consider buying a pro wrestling tee shirt from us. Everyone that you buy enters you into a belt giveaway. And don't forget, go follow our Instagram page. We're trying to get that back up. We'll probably announce a giveaway here after our t-shirt one for Instagram specifically on following. So if you've already done it, great. You'll be in that. If you haven't, go follow us. It's literally Going Broadway Podcast on Instagram. We're trying to post more and more to that as well, and making that a frequent spot to post. So please follow us on there as well. And as always, guys, I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We will see you next Sunday night.